Good to see everybody. We've had a few good days of practice. Obviously it's early. We looking forward to a good year, but we got a lot of work to do. But it's saw the charity exhibition got released today. We're looking forward to that. We've got a close scrimmage in that charity exhibition both before we open against Louisiana Tech. So we're looking forward to the year. I think we got a chance to be good, but we did lose a lot from last year. We've got a lot of work to do. And I feel like we've had some pretty good practices here. So kind of open up some questions.
Thanks, Coach. Just a reminder, we'll use the raise hand function if you have a question, and we'll get to you. Let's go ahead and start with Charlie Potter first.
Hey, Coach. I guess just some housekeeping. Where you guys stand from a health standpoint?
Yeah, so we've got 13 scholarships. I know some people have more than 13 just because of the COVID waivers and stuff. We didn't have anybody that, seniors last year that chose to use it. So we're on 13 scholarships. Tamari's out for the year. Rojas is still recovering from his deal. He's still on a timeline to be back, hopefully by SEC play. And then those are the two that are out. Alex Chiku is almost back to 100%. He's able to participate in most of the drills. He's just not back to where he's in shape enough to do everything, but he's getting there. And then Keon Ambrose had a minor knee injury yesterday. He's day to day. He won't miss any games for it. We got plenty of time before the first game. He could miss we've got our first closed scrimmage in about a week and a half, and he may miss that, but that would probably be about all he'd miss. So that's where we're at as far as injury wise goes.
Mike Rodak.
Yeah, Nate, when you look at JD and Javon, just how much do you think you can get those guys on the court at the same time? And, I guess they're both point guards, but which one would be the true point guard if they're both out there at the same time?
Yeah, I plan on playing them together a lot. I started 3-point guards at Buffalo at times. I don't really care if they can pass, dribble, and shoot. We're going to put them on the floor together. So both those guys can pass, dribble, and shoot it at a really high level. JD's really been showing how well he passes the ball. Quinterly obviously showed how well he passed the ball last year. JD's getting better shooting it. Quinterly's shooting it at a high level. They both have different things they're stronger at. JD's a little bigger, stronger, more athletic. Quinterly's obviously got a ton of experience, played in big games. He's, his handle's really tight and get wherever he wants on the floor. So, yeah, I anticipate playing those two together a lot. Shoot, to have two creators on the floor together like them, it's going to make it easy for everybody that's on the floor with them, including each other, and which one's the true point guard? I don't know that we really have to answer that a ton because we've got so many multiple handler plays. JQ's great off the ball. Our starting point guard last year was Herb Jones, and then we played Herb and Quinterly together a lot. And sometimes Quinterly bring it up, sometimes Herb bring it up, sometimes Shaq would bring it up, sometimes Petty. We a lot of guys bring the ball up the floor for us. So if it's a dead ball situation, we may even switch that up as to who brings it up. So who our true point guard isn't that big of a deal in our system. So I don't know that question necessarily has an answer right now.
Michael Casagrande, go ahead.
Yeah, first, any good rounds of golf lately?
Listen, I have not golfed since recruiting got opened back up again in September. What day was that? September 9th, maybe. Yeah, it's been over a month. So no great rounds of golf, but I did have the hole-in-one that you should have been covering as well as you were covering my bad swings, Michael.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Any more updates on that, we'd appreciate it. The basketball, in terms of this team, this roster, expectations are obviously going to be higher this year with what happened last year. What's the mindset of the team right now, and how are you trying to manage that while keeping the momentum going?
Yeah, I think the mindset of the team is in a good spot. They know we've got a target on our back. They also know we've graduated 4 seniors, and then Primo, who was a lottery pick, that's playing great. There's 5 really good players that are not here that were in the rotation last year. So there's a lot of guys that are going to be playing heavy minutes in the rotation this year that either were very limited minutes in the rotation last year or weren't here. So we've got a lot of work to do. Guys know it, but we also have the 2 leading returning scorers back, and Shackelford and then Quinterly. So we do have experienced guard play, which is big in college basketball. And I think, our bigs, Charles Bediako, Keon Ambrose, Noah Gurley, Alex Chiku, Keon played limited minutes. The other three didn't play at all here in the past. I think it is big that Noah's got a lot of experience in college. Juwan Gary's minutes should go up this year. So we're not nearly as experienced as we were last year on the front line, but we do have some experienced guard play, and I think our mindset is we've got to be great on defense again. We jumped from 114th in the country to 3rd in the country last year in defensive efficiency, which had a huge part in our jump and win totals. So they know how important the defensive end of the floor is, and I think that's where we're focusing a lot of our attention right now.
All right, let's go to Drew DeArmond next.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you about some guys. Your staff is known as being able to develop players well. Talk about a guy like you just mentioned, Juwan Gary, and also Darius Miles. They're going to get an opportunity now with some of these injuries to play bigger roles. How are they developing in the offseason so far? And also, what kind of impact do you see out of a big like Charles Bediako?
So let me get to the Juwan Gary, Darius Miles, and we'll cover Charles at the end. So Juwan obviously played in the rotation last year, I think 8 minutes a game. He was an energy guy, hustle guy, played hard. I think his biggest area of improvement he needed to make was in shooting the ball to get more minutes. He is shooting the ball much better. He's put a lot of time into it. I hope he can make a jump similar to what Herb made going into Herb's senior year, but we don't want him to overdo it with the shooting. He still needs to do what he does and guard, rebound, play hard, give us effort stuff. So his role should increase. It will increase if he continues to play that way he's been playing. Darius had to get a lot more consistent. He had to get stronger. He's gotten stronger. His consistency's starting to come around. The great day of practice is starting to become great days, in a row. We just got to continue to get consistency. His turnovers got to come down, but his playmaking ability, his athleticism, his shot making, it's all there. He's got all the tools. He's just got to put it together on a consistent basis from day to day, and it's starting to come around. He's looked a lot better. This first week of we've had 5 official practices since it started last Thursday. Our first day we went was last Thursday. So the Charles Bediako question, look, he's something like we haven't had since I've been here. He's a shot blocker, a rim protector. He puts a lot of pressure on the rim, rolling out pick and rolls, sprinting the floor in transition, and he doesn't miss much around the rim. His finishing percentage at the rim is high. His rebounding numbers are high, and then he can really block shots. When guys try to challenge him at the rim, it looks a lot more like challenging an SEC big than maybe what we had in the past. So I think he's obviously helping us in practice. I think he's going to help us a lot in the games too. And he's a freshman, but he's got the right mindset. He works really hard. He comes in a lot. It seems as we've had 3 Canadians since I've been here with Primo and Charles and Keon. They all have got a very serious work ethic. They're all here, with a mission in mind. They're trying to get better, and I think he's no exception to that. He comes in and works really hard, and he's gotten a lot better. Keon Ambrose has gotten a lot better too since last year. So I like the areas of improvement we've seen in both those big guys for us.
Joey Blackwell.
Hey, Coach, you got some talented new guys coming in this year like Davison and Bediako, and I'm just kind of curious, at this point heading into the season, what's the chemistry like between the new guys and the older players on the team? And also, how have you seen players like Quinterly and Shackelford kind of move up into leadership roles?
So the new players, JD's was McDonald's All-American. He's been better than what I thought in a lot of areas. His passing ability, which you saw some in AAU, but like with his high school team, he had to score it so much. You didn't see how great of a passer he is. He can really pass the ball. He's leading the team in assists through these first 5 practices. He's playing really well. Charles is a great target, whether he's playing with JD or with Javon. They've been able to find him quite a bit. He's playing well. He's adapting well. The physicality of the college game hasn't seemed to bothering him too much so far. I think both those guys would contribute well. The other guy that's really kind of picked it up here, because we had the guys all summer and fall, but, we've officially had 5 practices now, is Jason Holtz really started to shoot the ball better. Seems like he's a lot more comfortable in the offense. His energy's been good. He's rebounding the ball at a high clip. So, those three freshmen, I think all have a chance to really help us. I think your other question was leadership with Shackelford and Quinterly. Obviously Shackelford's playing his third year here. Nobody's played, no scholarship guys played more than that. He's the guy that's played significant minutes every single year we've been here. So we're going to rely on him to be a leader. I think he's taking that role seriously. He's playing hard. He's fighting through. He doesn't miss practices. He's a tough kid that practices hard and is trying to do the right thing. And then Quinterly's, obviously a point guard that's shown he can compete. And he was SEC tournament MVP. He's one of the best players in college basketball, in my opinion. So when you've got two really good guards like that both are really trying to take that leadership role seriously, I think it helps put your team in the right frame of mind. And I think, I like where our heads are at for the most part right now.
Hey, Jerry Tipton, go ahead.
Yeah, Nate, I don't know if this necessarily applies to you guys, but I'm wondering if for any coach generically, if you've got like 10 or more guys that are capable of being productive in the rotation, what kind of a coaching challenge is that to manage that many capable guys?
You know what? It seems like we've got that question fairly free. Now, we didn't have it too much in year one here. We had it a little bit last year. A lot of that stuff works its way out, but, with the 13 scholarship guys, we're probably not going to have a rotation of more than 9 or 10. So Namari being out really hurts us in a way because he was playing so well. We had, I think, about 10 fall kind of skill sessions, they call them, individual workouts. But, he was shooting 60% from three through those workouts in all live action. So missing him hurts, but then obviously it already reduces the rotation to 12 available guys. Guys are just we like competition. I don't want to bring in just 8 guys that can play, and then I like for all 12, 13 to think that they ought to be playing heavy minutes and there to be some serious competition. I think it raises the level of play in practice. I think there's, with our bigs right now, we're not going to play 2, 3 of those together much. So you got, Noah, Keon Ambrose, Charles, Alex Chiku, Jawan and Noah can play some 4, Keon Ambrose a little bit possibly, but there's some competition to see who's going to play those minutes, and I like it. I mean, they got to play hard. They got to get better. Kid like Jason Holt's really starting to play well. He's putting some pressure on some other guys. So, you look at our guard play with Quinterly, Shackelford, J.D. Davidson, and Keon Ellis, those 4 guys, I'm not sure you want to start all 4 of those. You'd be rather small. So, all 4 of them are going to play significant minutes, and I don't think it's a big deal who starts. Quinterly didn't start a lot of games last year and ended up being the tournament MVP. I don't know if he started any of them in the tournament. He was a tournament MVP, but, Primo started the year off coming off the bench. Keon Ellis came off the bench a lot. They all contributed significantly and played starter minutes. So I'm not concerned with who's starting, but I am concerned with who's going to earn the minutes, whether it's 8, 10, 12, 25, whatever it is. And I think that's kind of where the competition's going on right now.
All right, we got time for a few more questions. Let's start with Austin Hannon with Crimson White. Go ahead, Austin.
Hey, Coach. It's obviously a busy time of year for you, but I was just curious, were you able to catch any of Primo's opening preseason game with the Spurs this week?
Yeah, he was pretty impressive, wasn't he? He shot the ball well. He led him in scoring, and I think in 17 minutes only. So, look, and it's, preseason play in summer leagues, obviously not the regular season, but had a great summer league, and now preseason's the next step where, obviously if you're playing this well in preseason, they're trying to get their team ready to play games in the regular season. So they're obviously, considering him to be in the rotation if they're playing him this many minutes and he's playing this well. So it'd be great to see him in the rotation for the Spurs as a young rookie. And, I thought he was great. I think, Herb's doing well in New Orleans, Kyra. So all of our guys that are on professional teams are doing well. I think it speaks well to the program and how we're getting them ready to play at that next level. But, yeah, I'm happy for all those guys.
Mike, you got a follow-up? Mike Rodak, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, I was just going to ask about, the non-conference schedule. I don't think we've talked to you since it came out. I know you always talk about scheduling tough, but just what went into that as far as some of the analytics and some of the numbers behind it?
I don't know. It might have been a little too much to bite off, to be honest with you. But, look, the one thing I'll say is we're never going to schedule light. I would rather get exposed in the non-conference, figure out what we've got to fix. You know, you look at last year, we were 4-3 after 7 games and ended up going 16-2 in SEC play. Now, some of that was maybe we didn't have our guys ready to play enough in the non-conference, but I think some of it is you need a wake-up call at some point. It's better to get the wake-up call in the non-conference than it is to get it in SEC play when you're trying to win the SEC. So, you know, there's definitely some analytics. You know, we did hire HDI to help with scheduling, and, you know, they help with some of that. And I think, you know, even like the opener, Louisiana Tech, I mean, they're a really good team. I mean, some people think we're foolish to even be playing them, but, you know, you get past that game, and they've got some really good players, and they're picked to be at the top of their league, if not picked to win it. You know, you got 3 out of last year's 4 Final Four teams. You know, with Houston at home, Baylor at home, and the SEC Big 12 Challenge, we're going out to Seattle to play Gonzaga. Those are 3 really tough teams. If we're fortunate enough to make it to the championship in the ESPN events deal, and Kansas does, we'd play Kansas there. You know, we've got Memphis, who's done as well in recruiting in the last, you know, month leading into the fall semester as anybody in the country did. I mean, they added 2 significant pieces, so they're got a really talented roster with a great coaching staff. I mean, that's going to be a tough game. So kind of go down the list. Colorado State's supposed to be top 50 in the country. We don't have many easy games, if any at all. I think that was by design, but I also want to be playing our best basketball come March. And I think if you got Cupcake City in November and December, you don't get exposed and you don't get your weaknesses figured out and you don't better yourself like you need to do in the non-conference and be ready to play for conference games.
All right, we got 3 more questions in the queue here, so we'll finish out with these 3. Let's start with Cecil Hurt first.
Coach, on the recruiting trail, not only do you have to recruit at the level you're recruiting against some of the best programs in the nation, but you've got G League, B League, Kanye League. How difficult has it been to adjust all that?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different. I mean, you know, I was at Buffalo 3 years ago. We obviously didn't deal with any of that there, but I even think, you know, even in high major basketball, you didn't deal with this too much 3 years ago. You know, you're seeing guys commit to colleges, be committed. You know, there was a kid that we recruited pretty hard. We lost out at another school, but he was committed to a college for a while, and then all of a sudden decides to go to G League at the last minute. And this team's got to figure out how to replace them. There's no replacing kids that late. So I think, you know, if they're going to go to the G League or the NBL in Australia or Overtime Elite, which, you know, all these places are offering, you know, guaranteed contracts and money and whatnot, I'd rather see them do it early, us get out of the recruiting early, than them string you along the whole time. Now, I also think if you're going to recruit high-level players that we're trying to recruit, you're going to have to deal with that. I mean, G League's offering good money, Overtime Elite. You know, I'm not quite sure the whole business model on that deal, but they've got pretty good contracts they're offering kids, and and they still got the options to go overseas, play in Australia or wherever. I think part of the selling point to the kids is once you go be a pro, you're a pro. You're not coming back to college. You can't play in college, and there's something to be said for having a college experience. And there's also something to be said for preparing yourself to go play in the NBA. And I still think college can do that better than anywhere. And obviously I may be a little biased, but I think there's some solid selling points on it. If you look, you know, some of these places are really just going to be playing exhibition games. Like, you're not competing to win a championship with some of these options that they have to go to. Now, obviously in the G League they would, but that particular G League team's treated a little different than the other ones. So, it's a different deal. Like competing to win the SEC, and I've talked to NBA scouts that have talked about this. There's nobody that's an alum of whatever G League team it is. There's real passion behind Alabama basketball and Florida basketball, Kentucky. You walk into Rupp or you walk into, Florida, Arkansas, Auburn's arena. You've got a hostile environment. You have to play in a high-pressure, high-stakes game with a lot on the line. Like, the NBA scouts want to see how guys play in those type of situations. And when you're playing a NBA system like we are, I think we prepare guys better for the NBA than any other option they have. Now, I think you've seen it with some guys that chose not to come here, that could have come here, whether they chose to go to another school or wherever. And, I think some places, you may have to give up some money up front, but, and we've tried to talk to these people. The difference, I look next year's draft, the difference in the 4-year contracts between the 15th pick and the 5th pick is, I believe, $14 million. I think we can help guys move their stock up. I mean, you look like Kyra Lewis moved his stock up with us. Josh Primo moved his stock up with us. Herb Jones moved his stock up with us. You look at guys that have been able to move up their stock, and I think there's value, but you may have to put off that money for a year or two or whatever it may be, depending on what options you're looking at. But I still think it can be a sound financial decision as well as a sound decision just for helping a kid grow up. I think we got a lot more resources here to help young boys grow into young men grow into men that are ready to now go be a professional somewhere.
All right, let's go to Michael Casagrande, and then we'll finish up with Drew. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, on another different kind of recruiting note, I think this is the first time we talked to you since Jaden Shackelford went to the portal and came back. What was that recruitment like? How much can you say about the process of getting him to come back here?
Yeah, I mean, he looked at the NBA. They went through the process, and the feedback they got was that he needed to come back to college for a year. So then, they're really set as we are on trying to get him to the NBA. So, him and his family really had to make a decision as to what was the best place for him to prepare himself to play in the NBA. And, they put their name in a portal. Jaden put his name in a portal just to look at some other options. And I think with the way the culture is in college basketball right now, you're going to see a little bit more of that, where guys want to make sure that they're in the best spot for their future. And I'm not, ideally he wouldn't have done it, if I'm talking as a head coach for Alabama, but I wasn't all that disappointed. We had to convince him that Alabama was the best spot for him to prepare himself to go play in the NBA. And I'll say this, there's 3 high major teams that didn't lose anybody to the transfer portal. It was us, UCLA, and Michigan. So I think we're doing something well here. We're not going to be able to say that every year because at some point it just makes sense for a kid to go somewhere where he can play more or get to a system that maybe fits him better. Maybe there just wasn't the right fit out. But, we didn't want to lose anybody to the portal, and we didn't lose anybody to the portal this year. And once they put their name in the portal and he kind of, I knew he was going to get a lot of positive feedback from teams. I mean, shoot, he was our leading scorer. We were the 5th best team in the country. I mean, that's something to be said for that. So he had a lot of good options. Still think at the end of the day, we play an NBA system. We told him what we're going to do to help him. I think our player development's as good as anybody in the country. He had a great relationship with both the staff and his teammates. This is where he wanted to come back and play in college. We had to get out there a few times. Myself, Coach Petway, Coach Hodgson all made, me and Petway made multiple trips, and Brian went out there once, and we just, we let him know our plan for him. And really our goal is to try to get him ready for the NBA as well. Now, he's got some work to do. We got the feedback on what he's got to work on, and we're working on it with him. And, he's very receptive. He's very coachable, as he's always been, and he's trying to lead this team. And I think if we can win at a high level and he can make some adjustments to his game, I think he's got a great shot of playing for a lot of money at some level.
Go ahead, Drew. Drew, you're muted.
Sorry about that, Coach. I wanted to ask you about Keon Ellis. I really love his game. He reminds me of Latrell Sprewell. I've been following Alabama basketball since the mid-'80s, and Latrell made a huge jump from his junior to his senior year. How much better do you think Keon can get?
Listen, if he can get as good as Latrell Sprewell, I think we'll win a lot of games, Drew. Sprewell's a Milwaukee kid, so that's up in my area. So I actually loved watching Sprewell play college, the NBA. He's with the Knicks. I think he played hard, athletic. Keon's a little bit different, but I get the comparison being that they're JUCO guys, and I don't think Alabama's had a lot of JUCO guys. If Sprewell's, how well they do with JUCO guys, maybe we should go that route a little more often because he's pretty dang good. But, Keon was one of our better players if you looked at our efficiency numbers. Offensive leverage, defensive leverage, both. We were better when he was on the floor. You know, he plays so hard on both ends. He's one of the best two-way players in the conference, I believe. I think he can be, you know, I mean, some people have him on some NBA draft boards for a second round. I think he could be an NBA player. I think, you know, he shoots it really well. He can do so many different things offensively. He finishes at the rim. He's athletic. He's got that length and, you know, and he's got good natural feel for how to score the ball too. But I think defensively he's really bought in. He's done a great job. I think his athleticism and his length allow him to be a great defender. And, you know, we're just going to keep working on him. He had to put some weight on. He's done that. He's put some weight on. He's gotten a lot stronger. And I'm looking forward to him having an unbelievable year for us this year. And hopefully he can make a pretty good jump from his junior year to his senior year. But he was pretty dang good for us as a junior too.